The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera, and by Mosaic, your Lightroom photos automatically on every device and backed up, and by ShootProof, the easy way to proof and sell your photos online.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina as they chat about the art and business of photography.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 97. I'm Joseph Christina here with my co-host Trevor Curran. On last week's episode, we looked at a bunch of productivity apps to help you get organized and increase your photography studio's bottom line. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at our website, digitalphotographycafe.com, in iTunes, listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or watch in HD on TiVo.
Joe, we are back. How's it going, my friend?
We're here. Good. We are back. It's another week, 97. We're getting close to that 100
mark. That's right. Almost 2 full years.
I know.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
I'm excited.
Yes. I just keep plugging away every week.
That's right. Cobbling something together every week. Hopefully we can learn you guys something.
We'll learn them something. That's right.
But it's fun. We get to chat and converse about something that we absolutely love, and hopefully it comes across that way.
That's right. That's right.
So I heard that we got something in our inbox that was kind of interesting. I know we get a lot every week, but this one kind of stood out.
Yeah, we got a couple. So Sean wrote in based off of last week's show. He said, "Hi guys, thanks for the podcast. It's great. I was listening to episode 96 today and wanted to mention another app for sun tracking for you to check out. It's called the Photographer's Empress." I think that's how you say it.
Nice.
They have apps for iPhone and Android, which are paid apps. And they have a Mac and a Windows version, which is free. It's actually an Adobe Air version, so it's probably the same thing. Nice. He said, based on your description, this seems like a similar option to Mr. Sun that is cross-platform. So I wanted to mention it. You can find out more information by going to photoempress.com, and that's EPHEMERIS.com.
Yeah, we'll have to put the link in the show notes. Thank you very much, Sean. That's really cool.
Yeah.
We always like to get the feedback from you guys, the things that you've used that work out fabulous for you, that that might kind of add to the stuff that we've talked about, or maybe even supersede it. Who knows?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
I mean, that was a great
really
show. We had a lot
appreciate
of feedback from that throughout the week. A lot of retweets on the different apps and things.
Yeah.
So it's good to do that every once in a while. I think kind of just share with each other. What we're using, what makes our lives easier, what helps us be more productive. So definitely, if you guys have a tool or an app or a web service that you use and would like to share, head over to our Facebook page. You can leave a message there for everybody to see. Shoot us an email. We'll chat about it on the show. So definitely, it's interaction. Sharing is caring, right?
Sharing is caring.
That's what the sexy bookmark says.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, kind of perusing the web of photo stuff, I saw that we have this new Canon that, of course, is coming out, of course, with a lot of other cameras, but this one's kind of interesting. It's called the Kiss X7,
right?
Which is kind of a weird name, right? It's an EOS. I think it's EOS B, but it's a Kiss X7.
Sounds like a FM radio station. You're listening to Kiss X7.
That's right. That's right. And we take 18 megapixel images.
That's right.
Yeah. So it looks very interesting. I think it's going to be under $1,000. This is kind of like rumor stuff. And they had some pictures, which, for me, I look at the cameras and I think I'm getting older. I've been doing this for like 20 plus years. And, carrying this brick with me, doing events or, on location shooting, it gets to be extremely weighty. I know we've talked about this in the past, right, Trev?
Yeah.
Where,
especially when you throw on flash brackets and off-camera
got a bracket, battery, extra battery, and all kinds of stuff. And the time you're done, it's probably like 6+ pounds, 8 pounds.
Sure.
I don't know. Sometimes I'll hand it over to like a guest or someone that's like, yeah, hold this, and they're like, oh my god, how do you do this? And I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, so I got one forearm that's bigger than the other. Anyways, that's another story. We won't get into that. So this camera is really small, right?
It is
like,
small.
They showed it like silhouetted against like a Rebel or some other camera, one of the others, and it's like really small, and it's still a DSLR.
I know, it's so much more compact. I mean, they have it over a Rebel, and for anybody that's held a Rebel before, I mean, they're quite tiny. I mean, they're small, and they fit in your hand nice, and they're really designed for that consumer, and designed for to be versatile, to fit all of the consumer's needs. Well, this one's even smaller, and I'm thinking to myself, how are you going to hold this thing? The grip, the hand grip part of it is so much smaller now. I would be concerned I wouldn't even be able to get my hand on it right,
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. I mean, as these things get smaller and smaller, it's good for me. I don't mind if, the camera that I'm using is not, doesn't quote unquote look professional. I don't really care. I've been doing this long enough. It just doesn't matter to me too much.
Yeah.
I got the 1D, over there from the very beginning, which was like a 4.7 megapixel.
And it was a big
camera.
body too. I mean, it was
like $9,000 or something, $7,000 or something, some crazy amount. So I've been using them since like a long time ago, since the beginning. And I wouldn't mind having something small. This is kind of cool. Obviously this is form factor. You have a flip out back screen, which I love. I think that's great. I think a lot of cameras are going to start going that way. And I think they're going to be also touch. Yep. So they'll probably have multi-touch back panels. You can kind of zoom in, zoom out, and all this kind of stuff. I think that's coming down the grapevine for the the more professional DSLRs. So, but besides that, the only thing that kind of doesn't sit well is 9 points of autofocus.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Just stop that.
Back
just
to Canon's
stop
thing again.
9, stop.
Yeah.
Nikon hasn't done that forever. Canon, what are you thinking? Stop with this 9-point autofocus. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
Anyways, that's just a pet peeve of mine. It does have SD in comparison to being CF, which that's kind of cool. I think everything's going to go SD because it's just smaller, and they can make cameras more and more compact. They can
make them more compact, and they can fit 2 SD slots in the same amount of space as one CF slot. So, even once it starts progressing more into the high-end pro cameras, dumping 2 CF or SDs in there instead of 2 CFs or an SD and a CF like some of the cameras have, I think it's just going to make a lot better use of space.
Yeah, I always like dual anyways, because you can use one as a backup, or you can set it up so that you have basically more shots. Yeah. So, for me, I like it as a backup. Set one as your main, second as your backup. You got, you have 2 cards. Even if one fails, you're still good, as they say. They're talking like May on this. Like I said, it's going to be under $1,000 is what they're stating. And they'll have a kit lens. They're saying about an 1855, the usual.
Right.
IS is good. So it'll be image stabilization like that. Digix 5, the same old. So the thing that really that I liked was the form factor, and it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Like we always say, eventually it's going to be this big torpedo of a lens,
with
and
a tiny little box
camera
on the back of it. Yeah.
This big on the back, and that's it. Yeah. So, but that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I mean, and kind of to go along with this camera, Canon also announced the new Rebel T5i. So they keep progressing, up in those Rebel numbers. So I think that's really what they're focusing on this time of the year. They've got another couple cameras that came out, a couple point and shoots and things like that. This time of the year always seems to be the consumer level stuff. So, look for Nikon to follow suit shortly, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's the, like a big company with 2 legs, and Nikon goes one step, and then Canon does a step, and then Nikon does a step, and they just keep on moving.
Just hope they keep stepping
forward
together and not in opposite directions. That could be painful.
It could be. So, okay, so we always talk about SEO, and we talk about, our images and where we put them, where we don't put them. And I found this amazing article. And it was like a research article. It was like a survey. They did this whole entire thing with images, and they studied when you upload an image, what metadata remains, what gets filtered out, and who keeps it and who gets rid of it.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very
well,
interesting,
we always talk about SEO, like you said, and when it comes to sharing images online, whether it be your website or Flickr or Facebook or what have you, part of creating SEO for your images is adding in metadata. It's in addition to just the name of the file, just the alt title of the file of the image, but you also have the EXIF data. You have all the other data that is stored in the file, which all can help contribute to being found, to your SEO, to your optimization. So yeah, this is very interesting from that standpoint because some of these sites are actually stripping the information out of your images.
Yeah, and they're stripping not just basic information like, let's say, the camera and let's say the focus spot and the let's say your zoom or something, but they're actually stripping stuff that you do not want stripped, and you're putting forth all that effort to put that metadata in there.
Sure.
So what they did is they took a picture, they uploaded it all over the place, and then they did various tests. One was they saw. And this, just so you know who did this was IPTC. So it's the International Press Telecommunications Council.
Okay.
And I'm sure you guys have heard of IPTC as well as XF data. Anyways, it's basically a header that goes into your image that keeps metadata regarding that specific image. And when you upload it here, there, or elsewhere, the software extracts that and it uses it for different things. Could be, putting it into categories or putting it here, there, whatever, or naming it, or for SEO, for example, with Google or whatever. Right. But anyway, so the way they did it is they uploaded an image and they saw what was returned. The first test was just display. Like, okay, so is the data there? The next thing is they call it the 4 C's. And what that is the caption, the creator, the copyright notice, and the credit line. Those are the 3 lines, like for example, if you go into Lightroom, those are the 3 main lines out of all of the IPTC information, the XF, the information that gets put in there. Those are the most critical.
Yeah, that's
because
important
that's going to say, that's who made it. That's the copyright notification, how they contact you, and the caption. The caption is very important for SEO. So they looked at that, and then they looked at 2 other things. They looked at the save as embed. And they looked at, of course, the download embed. And how that's qualified is if you saw an image on the web and you click on it and you do a save as, what data was retained. And then also if the site has a download button, when you download the image, what was retained. So they did an entire kind of breakdown of these 4.
Right. So one would be the screen representation of the image, and the other one could potentially be the original file, the high-res file, or what have you. Okay.
The internals.
Right.
And what happened with that header file. So, so kind of breaking this down into, what type of data goes into these files. And, you have your IPTC, and then you have your XMP. And XMP is like your sidecar. Is like what Adobe kind of, put together. Okay. It's a different format. IPTC is a format. The XMP and the XF. So anyways, all the data needs to be in there for you to, let's say, keep your image. Some of these locations where you upload them, and the most notorious, you're probably going to not even believe this, the worst of the bunch. Now they're going to show you guys a link. So we'll probably put it up online now, but we'll give you a link so you can go and take a look at all of them, because we're just going to cover a couple. Right. The worst offenders are Facebook, Flickr are the 2 worst. And then going down, you got Pictify as well as Twitter. But Facebook and Flickr. Now, Facebook, we know, right, Trevor? We always say, don't upload your stuff to Facebook, blah, blah, blah. You know? Because you might be losing, you might lose your image or someone takes it. But Flickr?
Well, that's always been the thing, right? For years, photographers have been uploading their images to Flickr, sharing them, putting them in groups and all this stuff. And that was the place to go for a photographer to get some exposure. And, with the pro accounts actually give you the ability to display the EXIF data and stuff like that. But on the non-pro accounts, it appears that they are stripping this stuff out. And, this always comes back to, like recently with Instagram and not too long ago with Facebook, what are they trying to do with your images? What is their master plan? And you know what? It always seems to come down to they want to somehow make money off your images. And by having this metadata in there, it's kind of really hard for them to take, onus of these images, regardless of what their terms of service says. So probably the safe thing for them to do is strip the stuff out. Not cool.
So,
Not cool.
So we look at it and we say, so why in the heck should we care? To be absolutely specific about it. Like, for example, Facebook is by far the worst, that and Flickr.
And it's probably the most popular social network.
And of course, that's what makes it worse. Okay, so if your caption, your 4 C's, your caption, your creator, your copyright notification, your credit line are ripped out, what happens is this XF data and your IPTC data is all missing.
Yep.
If that gets downloaded, the image gets downloaded and then re-put on the web someplace, it is naked.
Yeah.
It is absolutely bare. And unless you've watermarked it, what happens is it very quickly becomes orphaned work.
Yep.
And anyone could take it and use it at their leisure with absolutely no recourse from you.
Yep.
So it's bad. It's really bad. Very, very, very bad. The one that we should highlight, which is the best out of the entire list of like 2025 or whatever social media locations that they did this test on, the absolute best was Google
Plus. Yeah, photographers love Google Plus.
And I don't know, if they know it or not, but now they do know it. Every single piece of XF data, every single piece of IPTC data, every bit of data straight to the XMP, to everything.
Right.
It's all there. Nothing is ripped out.
Right.
You can look at it. If you download it, you get it. If you copy paste it, you get it. If you do an embed download, you get it. Every which way, you get all of that data. Those header files on every image remains intact when you upload.
Right.
That's
and that
huge.
goes back to SEO again, because now this is Google Plus. This is Google's property. Who's the number 1 search engine? Google. What's the number 2 search engine? YouTube, owned by Google.
Right.
So the fact that they are retaining this data in the images to be when it's being used on Google Plus would lead you to believe that they're actually using this data potentially in their search results.
Exactly. So I guess to conclude, years ago when we'd said, well, let's go ahead and share in Flickr and make groups and do all this stuff, today after this kind of findings, I would be more, happy to share my work on Google Plus in comparison to on Flickr or Facebook or anywhere else, knowing that I'm not going to have any of my work orphaned, number one, and all of the header file data, all of that data will remain.
Right.
And just like you said, I will get better SEO by doing so in comparison to putting it elsewhere.
If you are going to put it in other locations, just, upload lower resolution images, not tiny postage stamps, but lower resolution, not high resolution images, and watermark them. That's all you can do. The watermarks can be cropped off, but as far as an orphan work floating out there in the ether, at least your watermark will be on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I tell you what, let's go ahead, and before we go any further, because we got a ton more information here, let's go ahead and take a quick break to hear from a few of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener. From phones, tablets, laptops, and PCs, these days photographers use multiple internet-connected devices.
Have you ever wished you could view your Lightroom images, folders, collections, and metadata from any of these devices? Now you can.
Mosaic Storage Systems has created Mosaic View, an application that gives you access to your images without exporting or using a publishing service.
Mosaic also offers Mosaic Archive, which directly integrates with Lightroom as a powerful cloud backup solution.
Mosaic gives photographers access to all of their images from anywhere on virtually any device.
Try Mosaic View today for free and access 2,000 of your most recent images.
As a Digital Photography Cafe viewer, Mosaic is offering a 20% discount off any of their premium plans.
Go to mosaicarchive.com and use coupon code DPC at checkout.
Mosaic. Lightroom, anywhere, any device, secure, backed up. As photographers, we're always trying to increase sales and profits after every event.
We shoot an event and have hundreds or even thousands of images that just sit on our hard drives.
Perhaps a better workflow would increase sales by getting those valuable images in front of the client.
That's where ShootProof comes in. At shootproof.com, you can have an online gallery for all of your clients' proofing needs.
ShootProof helps increase profits while building your brand and securing your photos without charging commission fees on sales.
ShootProof galleries display your photos beautifully while helping to streamline your workflow and automate more of your business through their intuitive studio control panel.
Once approved, photos can be directly fulfilled through ShootProof's various professional lab partners or fulfilled by you.
All ShootProof plans have the same feature set. You simply choose the number of client photos stored, decide what products to sell, and the price.
Try ShootProof today by taking advantage of their free 30-day trial offer.
As a Digital Photography Cafe viewer, ShootProof is offering a 20% discount off any of their premium plans by using promo code DPC20 at checkout.
ShootProof. Upload, share, sell, print. All right, so Joe, we are back. And last week, we had the whole productivity show like we talked about. We talked about a whole bunch of apps and everything. And we talked about Photoshop Express. Well, just recently, Adobe has released Photoshop Touch for the iPad mini, which has now been optimized for the mini and other 7-inch tablets, like the NEX tablet and stuff, which is really cool. I mean, this is a nice looking app. Things are definitely more user friendly at that smaller 7-inch size. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, and a couple of shows back we were talking about tablets and multi-touch tablets and all this stuff, and the Wacom and and the Panasonic's new tablet that's hitting, and all the rest of the stuff. And I was saying how if you don't have a tablet and you're doing editing, spend the week learning curve, but give it a shot. I think you'll thank me later. But anyways, very, very useful editing photos with a tablet. What I like about this, it's like you said, it's Photoshop Touch. It's version 1.4. Yep. What's really cool is it allows for, I think, 2 or 3 different stylists to be used, or styli, I guess to be the plural. Right. Anyway, and they're pressure sensitive.
Yeah.
Styli.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Which is cool.
I'm curious to know the technology behind that, because normally, with a touch device, a multi-touch device, it's either you're touching it or you're not. There is no pressure sensitivity per se.
Right.
So the stylist must have to be communicating somehow with it, or it's sending a particular signal back, which translates to the software or something. It's interesting.
Yeah. So that goes back to our conversation before with these tablets. I mean, as soon as you get a stylist that recognizes multiple degrees of pressure, you can at that point really let's say get fine.
Oh yeah, you can really dial into retouching for sure.
Yeah, just you have a softer hand.
Yeah.
It's not just that on off like you would with a mouse. You can really kind of smooth things out based on how much pressure you're putting on it. I mean, I can't say enough about it. I've been using a tablet for forever. I absolutely love it. So this program looks very, very interesting, and it goes back to the idea that more and more of these tablet-based editing devices are going to be coming out. And I could see someone, so you say, well, is this for an amateur? Is it for a pro? I could see someone in the field doing, let's say, they're covering an event. Let's say it's a concert or something, take your photos and dump them onto your iPad within a second or two, load it in here and do your crops and do your color gradations or color corrections. And then take a stylus and go and, do a little bit of editing here, there, or elsewhere, and then be able to directly upload it straight to, let's say the art director, or let's say if it's a magazine, right? It needs to go live right then and there. I mean, instead of having this big laptop around, a 7-inch, iPad with a stylus is just
that's interesting. I mean, because the iPhone and the Galaxy phones, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I mean, the screen is, I consider it to be too small to do any type of real production work. I mean, the 7-inch screen is still small, but it's big enough, and if this is optimized to work well on that screen size, it should be a fairly good user experience. So, you know what? For what is it, $10 to download it? I mean, it's not going to break the bank. It's probably worth trying it if you have one of these small tablet devices. Worth checking out. If you do, definitely let us know how you like it. I don't have a small tablet. I'm not really sure if I'm going to be getting one. I prefer my larger iPad. But, there are definitely some uses that I can think of for the 7-inch as well. So,
you said the user interface, and I think that UI will make or break this type of software because, as an editor and, as a photographer and editing forever, I can see a day where instead of, sitting even with a touch, like a Wacom or something and having to sit there and, manipulate the buttons continuously, to be able to just now think about, you have your photo and pinching in and turning the photo or pinching in or out the photo to zoom in and out. I think it would make the process of editing extremely, extremely quick. And the idea of having a 2-finger swipe, 1 finger, 3-finger, 4-finger, a twist, a rotate, all just in one hand instead of constantly clicking all kinds of stuff. I could see if they got that UI right with this type of thing, it will be. Yeah,
it could be really powerful. There would be a learning curve getting used to it. But again, I mean, so many people have multi-touch devices now anyway. I don't think it would be that hard of a learning curve, that steep.
Not anymore.
I think the general pinch and scroll and slide and all that stuff is already there. It's just, learning what hand movements, work specifically for this app. So yeah, definitely looks pretty cool. Right. I'm interested.
Yeah, definitely. $10. We'll have to give it a shot.
That's right.
And like you said, if anyone uses it out there, report back. We'd love to hear, how you like it, especially if you picked up one of those 3 stylists. I would love to hear how that worked out.
Definitely.
So, another thing that we wanted to kind of get into is, how do you answer your phones and, that customer service, and can they get a hold of you? Can they not? How easy is it for you to get that communication and have them call you and leave a message? And, are you answering 4 different phones and you got one, on a cell phone and one on your Skype and one, somewhere else
or something.
And I know just recently you kind of consolidated everything and you kind of made something, a really good system that works for you, right?
Yeah. Well, when I started my business, obviously I had to get a business phone line, and I've been in this particular business now for a few years, and I needed a phone line, and I looked at the different options. The landline, paying the money for a hardwired landline was just not something I wanted to do. They're expensive.
Right.
Know my local phone company just for local calling only, no long distance, nothing. I was paying like $41 a month or some crazy thing like that. And that's not a business line. That's a personal line. They charge you more for a business line. So I was like, I really don't want to do that. I don't want to pay that much money. So basically I just started looking around to see what other types of options were out there. And I had tried the Magic Jack for a while. It was cheap. It was like $19.99 per year. You can pick the device up at Radio Shack. I mean,
Radio Shack.
I mean, you see them on TV and stuff all the time, but
it was crazy. On TV, it was like the clappers, clap on, clap off, but it was Magic Jack this, Magic Jack that. Yeah. So it was like a big thing. How'd that work out?
Yeah, not good. The call quality was garbage. It is using VoIP. I mean, it's sending voice information over your data line. And if the servers that are on the receiving end and sending it out to the landline connections, if those servers are overwhelmed or what have you, or they're just really scaling down the the bit
I think
rate,
they,
you know, it just
I think they were compressing the hell out of it.
it just sounds like junk. So, you know, so it's poor quality. It was cutting out. It wouldn't connect. It just wasn't worth it. So then I looked at Vonage. So another VoIP solution. I have fast internet here at the office. You know, I wanted to try something else. Well, you know, they're $24 plus per month. You know, I mean, that's
right. I know. It's like almost close to a phone bill. So if you guys don't know what VoIP is, we can say VoIP. Voice is voice over IP. So it takes your, you know, analog signal, converts it to a digital signal, and then pumps it over an IP.
Right.
Pumps it over your internet connection instead of through, let's say, a hard phone line, copper.
Right.
So anyways, voice over IP.
right.
VoIP.
Exactly. So
Yeah, Vonage. I had Vonage for like a few years myself, and I'm like, you know, after a while, I'm like, this is kind of expensive. You know, I was looking at the regular phone bill and this, and I'm like, this just is a little bit high. And that's right around the time when Skype came around, right?
Yeah.
I started heading that.
yeah, well, that's it. Skype had their calling, you know, like a terrestrial phone number that you could get,
Right.
and you could actually call out from the
was cheap.
computer or from a handset. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, you know, so anyway, I kept searching, and so I found Google Voice a few years ago. And at the time when I found it, it was still in closed beta. So I had put my name on the list. I got in during the beta time period and tested it out. And it was really cool from the standpoint that you could actually select a local number. So you could actually
Right.
put in a prefix that you would want, and it would tell you if it had any numbers available for that area. You could put in your
Right.
state, your zip, or what have you, and it could give you a calling number, a local calling number based off that location.
And you know what's interesting about that too, which I really like, is besides the number that you can put in, like a prefix or some sort, you know, a set of numbers. What's really cool is, let's say, you know, you sell cakes, you can put in the letters, you know, CAKE
Right.
for cake or cakes or however, and then it'll actually find corresponding numbers that match that
That's right.
end or the beginning. So it's really pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a vanity phone number, I guess, you know?
Exactly. Really neat.
Yeah, so you know, that's really cool. So, you know, I was able to get my local number, and what I really liked about it is, you know, it had voicemail, and
Right.
it would forward the calls to any number you want. So in this case, I had it forwarded to my mobile phone. So really cool. You can use Google Voice for making outbound calls, but I'm not really sold on the voice quality there at all.
It feels more like, you know, the Magic Jack. It's
Yeah.
very let's say low bit rate for sure.
It is.
Definitely highly compressed. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But you know what? You and I have been using Skype forever. So,
yeah.
you know, I kind of started looking in the Skype area then and saying, all right, well, I know they allow you to make calls to landlines and mobile phones. So let me check into that a little bit more. So I wound up getting a plan, which is cheap. It's $8.50 per quarter. So, I mean, it's like dirt cheap.
quarter.
It's like
It's
$30-something
crazy,
a year. You know, it's cheap. And that gives you...
It was like, what, $2 and change a month or something? Something stupid.
yeah, exactly.
It's like,
And that basically gives you unlimited US and Canada calls to landlines or mobile phones. Plus,
Right.
you can call computers for free. But this calling method is done strictly from the computer to a landline or a mobile phone. So you are a little limited there. But the Skype voice quality is fantastic. You know, I mean, we
Yes.
love it. We're on it
And,
right now.
I mean, we've loved Skype for years and years and years until the recent buyout, when you know, it's kind of went a little bit south, but not too bad.
Right.
But like you were saying, you know, you would have to use it through a computer. There is a couple of alternatives to get around that, which I use. I have a VoIP phone,
Right.
So let's say there's a handset, and the handset is actually connected to wirelessly to let's say a base station. That base station has a Cat5 cable,
Right.
internet cable in the back. You plug it in, it immediately picks up an IP address, it syncs it to your phone, and now I actually have a handset that I can go and make Skype calls with.
Yeah,
So
it's nice.
There is an alternative to that. Very, very cool. I love it. And yeah, you can have your own phone number and everything. Skype is still good.
Yeah, it's really good. So, you know, basically, I'll just give you a quick rundown of how I have my whole thing set up. So I got my Google Voice number, you know, that I use on all my business cards, on all my promotion material, on the websites, all that stuff. So out in the public, you see my Google Voice number. I then have that number forwarded to my mobile phone, to my iPhone. That gives me the ability to screen the call. So when the phone rings in, I set up my address book. It says Google Voice. So I know right away that it's a business contact of some sort. At that point, I can choose whether I want to answer it or not.
Right.
And if I let it go to voicemail, it actually gets my Google Voice voicemail, not my iPhone
And that's
voicemail.
key there. That's key. That's
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah,
right?
that's really cool. So from there, if somebody leaves a message, I have Google Voice set up so it will actually text me a transcript of the message they left. So then,
Horrendous. It's not very good.
nah, it's not super
But,
accurate, but you can kind of get a general gist of what
Yeah.
the person was trying to say, So then I can read the transcript and see if it's something that needs immediate attention or if it's something that I can get to later. And if I have to call them now, I'll call them now. If at that point they are most likely an existing client, if it's something urgent, you know what? I don't really care if they have my mobile number at that point. You know,
that's fine.
it's no big deal. So then,
As a client, they're going to have it anyway.
exactly, they're going to
So
have it
that's good.
anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then what I do is if it's a call that can wait till later, I wait till I get back to the office and I call them from Skype. But see, here's what's funny with Skype. When you have one of these calling plans and you make an outbound call to a landline or a mobile that has caller ID, it will display some odd number, some weird number. Sometimes, it'll be a California number. Sometimes it'll be whatever, a very strange number. So they're not, whoever you're calling is not going to know who it is.
No.
Most likely they're not going to answer. With the Skype plan that I have, you can actually take a third party phone number and set it up as your caller ID number. So in my case, I took my Google Voice number, set it up as my caller ID, and now it's just smooth. People don't know where I
So
am.
you basically
It's not.
you've come full circle, right?
Yep.
So you have a absolute, as it stands today, you have a perfect system for getting the people in and out. And when that call comes through, you know who it is, to answer it, not to answer it, and if it goes to voicemail, you get a transcript and on and on and on. You can listen to the MP3, I believe, right?
that's right.
You can also download that MP3 if you need to use that for something in the future. It's a really good, I love it. I think it's a great,
It's a great low cost
method.
option.
Yeah. And, we did something very similar recently. They say the proof's in the pudding. We set up a Google Voice line specifically for the show.
That's right. We did. Yes. And, as everybody knows, our 100th episode is coming up. And what we'd really like to do is get you guys to call in and say hi. We'd like to hear from you. We, maybe send in your well wishes or what have you for the show. I mean, we'd love to do individual calls, but I think that would be impossible.
We got 40,000 or more.
Oh, that's right. I know. There'd be a lot of time on the phone. So, but anyway, so what you could do is actually call our Google Voice line, leave a message. We'll be able to download the MP3 file and we'll play it on our 100th episode show. And when you do so, be sure to, say your name, say your website, your Twitter handle, your Facebook page, what have you. You know what? In the video, we'll even pull up your website and show it on the screen. And we'll, while your message is playing, we'll just flip through your images or something, and let everybody see your work.
Yeah, can't beat that. Get some on-air exposure. We love to hear your well wishes and, to hear from you guys. It's great. We're going to have this thing open, obviously, from now until 100. Please send us over that information. Going forward after that, we're just, any kind of questions you have, you can always send a voicemail after that. And we're just going to keep this, going from this day forward. So it's really exciting. We want to hear you guys. We want to hear your voices. So, and we'll put you on the air, like you said. So,
yeah, you know what that number is offhand?
Let me see. What is the number? I think it's
crap.
We'll have to put it.
One thing that we
We'll have
didn't
to-
put
you know
in
what?
the
We'll
show
have to
notes. You're like, oh yeah,
We'll put it
let's
in the show notes.
talk about that, and we didn't.
Let me see if I can figure it out. It's like 440, and then it's like what is it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 07, I think. So it'd be 440-3456707. 07.
I think that's it.
I'm almost positive that's correct if my wonderful memory serves me
Yeah.
well, which it usually doesn't. So if you're
You know
listening
what?
to
Look
this,
in Skype. Look in the chat window
yeah, I'll have to look that up.
because we've got it in there.
Yeah, we do. Here we go. Oh my God. You won't believe it.
Were you right?
I was right. This
Well,
is
damn.
stupid. I can't believe it. Oh my God. I'm going to tell my wife. My memory isn't gone. So yeah, no. So it is once again 440-345-6707.
There you go. All right.
Very simple.
Simple.
So
Give us a
yeah,
call.
yeah.
Send us your well wishes. Say hi. You
Yeah.
know,
Your
your
name,
name, your website, your Twitter handle, Facebook page, whatever you
Everything.
want to pimp out. We're happy to,
Absolutely.
you know, as I said before, sharing is caring.
Absolutely. Well, we need to get out of
Yeah.
here. We're running late.
We're done.
And it's time to call it. I
Yeah.
think.
So if our listeners and viewers want to connect with you, Joe, what is the best place to reach you?
You guys can find me and Twitter, I guess. Twitter's probably the best. That's at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
Right. And you can connect with me on Twitter. It's at Trevor Current.
All right, Trevor, we are done. We are out of here. So you guys, if you're looking for the show notes, you can find all of them for this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/97. And don't forget, if you enjoy the show, please give us a 5-star review in iTunes by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/iTunes. Or help spread the word to your Twitter following by going to digitalphotographycafe.com/tweet. So keep your questions and comments coming, and we'll see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Current and Joseph Christina. Be sure to subscribe to the show for free in iTunes or through RSS. You can also listen on Stitcher and TuneIn Radio and watch in HD on TiVo. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.